Okay, we're live. Hello,
Yeah,
everyone.
we are. We got 14 people in the chat. It's
Woo!
like a new course record happening right now.
All right. Hey, this is
Hi,
Optix
everybody.
presentation. We're gonna preview the Oaks. Well, we're gonna start with the Derby, but we're gonna do the Oaks too, and we're gonna give you some foresight. No insight, Emily. We're foresighters. You know, that we're gonna kind of do a little bit of strategy prediction. You know, maybe take some chances, take some risks, and I think it's going to be good. I think we're gonna give you some good information. Now, just to level set everything, the plot is what now 2 weeks early or a week and a half early, so there'll be changes, right? We have 25 horses in there, so really pay attention. And take a look at this after the fact, right? After all the scratches are final. So we're going to give you what we have right now. And also we're going to go through, Emily, I have a bunch of stuff from like since 2008, we have plot information. So we're going to see some trends. And the plot has been a really good predictor. You know, like normally we use it as an analytical tool, but it's a really good predictor when it comes to the Derby. And, you know, we'll talk about why that is, because I think there's a reason why that is. So, yeah, so let's kind of just take a look. Right now what we have up there is the plot, the way it looks now, and it's a typical plot, Emily, right? We have the standard is all filled in, surface and distance not, because no one's run 10 furlongs yet, right? So that's why it looks the way it does. So we're going to be focusing on the plot on the left-hand side. Any kind of early observations, Emily, about the plot? I mean, it's so messy right now. It's just
it is really messy right now. But I feel like I don't know if you're going to pull up the other plots, but I feel like I haven't really seen a Derby plot that kind of has all the horses so tightly clustered together. And before we went live, I think part of that is, as you mentioned, and as you can see on the Optix RPM, which is the run style match, there's no E. Right. There's no E horse that can really separate. Now, we're kind of could say not seven, but Derma Sodagaki is a horse that's been able to run on the lead. So we're going to have to project that horse into the mix a little bit. But of those horses that we have the data from, none of them have really shown that they're like a front running type. I mean, eight probably needs the lead, but how fast is that horse when it really comes down to it, you know? So that's just kind of my kind of early observation is this looks like a plot that's just a little bit different than years past for that reason.
Yeah, and I think what's going to happen too is when it's like this, I would call this almost like a paceless race. What you're going to have is you're going to really have to work out a trip, because if it's really clogged early on and no one can get like separation, that's going to be really difficult, especially for horses that are drawn outside or drawn inside, not having like posts where they can have some options, and that could be difficult. So yeah, I agree with you. It looks like a paceless race to me. There's just no horse that really is kind of a speed horse in this race, like you said. I think yes, from the number 7 Derma Sodagaki, we'll get into him a little bit more, but Emily, just based on looking at his data, who he raced against in Dubai and everything, I'm projecting him to be kind of a Q1 square. What about you? I mean, just looking at some of the comparing, it's hard because we don't have speed figures, not pace figures, but just comparing some of the things like to the World Cup and doing some analysis with his race against that Bob Baffert horse. I forget the name of him, that speed horse. I lose it because he ran against him in Saudi Arabia. I kind of project him as a Q1 square. So that's going to be important because I'm just going to bring up the plots from. This is not the plots. What I thought I'd do is, could you see this, Emily, on your screen? Okay.
Yes.
So what this is for the past since 15 years, I guess now, almost 2008 through 22. This is where the winner plotted. Okay. And you can see that it's really been dominant Q1. It's been crazy Q1. In fact, I guess the last 2 years, 19 and 20, you had a Q4 square win. And one was on a disqualification, right? That was Country Grammar. And then the other one was last year that kind of race that fell apart, right? Other than that, and the 2017, I think that was American. No, that wasn't American Pharaoh. That was the Pletcher horse, the slop that day. Always
Super Saver.
Always Dreaming. No, Always Dreaming.
Oh, Always Dreaming. Oh, okay.
Yeah, both Super Saver and then the little circle here, the little circle is 09. That was Mind That Bird, which was crazy. But you could tell, I mean, like it's just been dominant. Q1, a couple of Q4s, mix between squares and circles, mostly squares, but even the circles that have won, Emily, have been really small, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
again, having tactical speed is important no matter what race you're in, and that just kind of shows you here too. And if you're not, I'm going to show you the second slide, which I think is kind of interesting. This is where these are the top 4 finishes. So of the next few, and you just dominate squares. They're like 2.5 times more likely to finish in the money than circles, and that makes sense because your horse is stretching out. They're going to need more late pace. And again, when you look at a square versus circle, it's relative to the other horses in the race. So the horses that have better late pace are going to do better. And that just kind of proves it when I show you the horses that finish in the superfecta who are circles, all really up above the median line. So they're either in quadrant 1 or 2, with the exception of Mind That Bird. No one who's a circle who's in quadrant 3 or 4 have finished in the superfecta in the last 15 years.
Can you put that other plot back?
The square, this one?
Yeah. I'm just kind of looking at it because like you had the green one up for first, right? And all those horses were kind of quadrant 1, mostly to the left of the y-axis. And then I feel like this is like Kentucky Downs, right? But then like all those yellows are like clustered, right? Like like that's like almost like you can start to like key like that. That's those are your horses that are going to finish third, which looking at the plot. sorry, Forte.
No, exactly.
Sorry to say, my man, but you're finishing third. Same with Tapit Trice. This is interesting,
And then if you go to this, I just kind of did the exacta, the second place finisher, to your point, right?
Yeah.
And the quadrant 4, even though there's more like upper quadrant, I think quadrant 4 does relatively compared to the number of runners does phenomenal. And the fact that we had those 2 winners that we talked about in quadrant 4 makes quadrant 4, which is normally not this, relevant. In this race, it is very relevant, kind of, especially when it comes to the exacta. And most of those horses, even the winners, are all bombs. So these are horses that are picking up pieces, who may go under the radar, maybe on speed figures, but got great late pace, and the extra ground really helps them. And they can kind of work out a trip. If they can work out a trip, they can kind of get up. So that's an important thing to look at when we're looking at this. So just interesting things. So Q4 squares look like pretty good second place finishes. And this is good. I mean, this is how we use this in years past to kind of piece together our superfecta tickets. So I mean, I thought that was kind of interesting. It's kind of really helpful tool in that sense. What else do I have here? This is just a general. This is a summarization. So Q1 runners are good on the win end. Q3 and Q4 circles are really much tosses. Late pace the key, so squares get upgraded, and then Q4 squares are pretty good from a price perspective in the exacta. So I think that's a good quick summarization. If you want to kind of we can come back to this when we start looking at the plot. The only problem is the plot's not final. So I got to put this somewhere so people get it. I'll get it up on the website or send it out so that people have it. They can use it as reference when the plot is final. People that buy the plot, so forth, so they have this because I think it's good information to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Any questions about this? Anybody have any questions about this? Okay.
No, just a couple comments. Will there be another when the plots are set? Are we going to do another show? I don't know if we are. I don't think we are.
No, we normally don't do it.
Yeah,
and I think you're doing something with Hawthorne. You may cover some other stuff, maybe, when you do that. So why don't you tell everyone when you're doing that so that maybe they can follow.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be more relevant to people that are in the Chicagoland area because it'll be live at one of the Hawthorne OTBs out at Oakbrook. But if you happen to be in town, it's free. I'll go over the Oaks, the Derby, and then the plan is to get through all the 7 graded stakes races on Sunday or on Saturday, Derby day. But we'll just see time wise.
That won't be on YouTube, Emily?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was gonna be on YouTube. Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Only.
Well, I'll
be
tell you
there,
what.
be square.
I'll tell you what you stand by. If you're interested in buying our package, it's $50. We give you all the tracks for the 2 days, the Oaks Day and the Derby Day. It's a great value. And we're going to be doing Optix focus for those days. So you'll get a sense of, what we think about, how we assess all this information too. So,
yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of, that's all I have to say about that. And let's go back to the plot here. Okay, so this is the plot today. Again, we have to kind of draw in the 7 and some. I think that's the only one, right? 7 and the 20. Yeah.
Continuar. Those 2 horses worked today, by the way.
How they look?
Derma Sodagaki was much the best over Continuar. Who just kind of looks big and rangy and kind of one pace, late changing leads. Derma Sodagaki, I mean, I just, one, I don't have a lot of reference as far as like how he trains, but the way he kind of gallops too, he's kind of always like, feels like me, like just like distracted, always looking like around at stuff, but he's still better of the 2. So, but he kind of gallops that way too. So that just might be how he is. And, it's pretty typical what they've been doing with this horse, or with these 2 horses every day. They have them out on the track. They have them out on the track for like over an hour, just kind of hanging out with a rider on their back and all that stuff. So it's again, I don't have context. It's just,
right.
I'd be really looking for anything positive or negative. And then again, when it just comes down to the race day,
yeah,
it's factored in the odds, right?
Absolutely. So before we jump into like, we're going to do a kind of a horse by horse kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I just wanted, I talked to you, Emily, about this. I'm just going to kind of lay it out there. I kind of just looked at the Optix fig range for this race. And for people new to us, what that is we kind of take the last 6 months and kind of look at the form of these horses and try to come up with a speed figure based on our speed figures that we project kind of in the range. And it kind of, it's like kind of a class indicator too, right? So just to give context on it. So this year it's 96 to 102. Last year, Emily, it was 101 to 107. Mm-hmm. And it's been typically like this. And it was 100 to 106 the year before. And then we had the COVID year and I didn't go back further, but typically it is more like about 5 or 6 points higher. So I don't know, that just kind of tells me something that, we're not probably at this point in their career looking at the most, vibrant bunch of 3-year-olds. Not to say they can't get better and, because horses are still developing and you just never know. But right now, there's really not a lot out there. You say, wow, there's kind of this is like a dominant bunch. And when you start looking at the speed, the other thing I wanted to look at was, we have this brisk stuff now, brisk class and all this other information here. And I sorted by race rating. So I'm high to low. I just thought, I don't know why I did this, but I did it. Just I got the information. And it's interesting. It's like the top 3 M class. So that's their race rating, the races. The top 3 are grade 1s that happened last year. Like 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right. And, it kind of goes again to my point is, do we really have a great bunch of horses? And that tells me that maybe this race is really more contentious than a lot of people think. I know Forte is going to be the favorite, but this race might be really close. And then when you start breaking it down, you look at the speed figures. One other thing I like to do with this, let me just clear this. Just one of the things I like to do, just because it just, I look at this form cycle, this current form cycle, and I know, these horses could bounce and really develop and go forward and stuff. But I just kind of just want to get, again, from a standpoint, what is this now? Clicking. Okay, there we go. So I look at the last 45 days. And I just got, 2 fills you got to take with a grain of salt. It was on synthetic and everything. But 100, maybe not 100.
But there's 2 horses that ran back from that race paired up pretty strong numbers.
Yeah, I know. I did notice, but I'm just saying, let's just take it with a grain of salt. But I think you're right. I think the number is solid, which would be really interesting. Because so anyway, but the rest of the field, I mean, 100, 99, 100, 98. I mean, when I see like something like this, I don't want to be leaning on anybody short. Okay, not at all. So
absolutely, yeah.
So that's just kind of my general thought about the race, and then we can kind of like start with Forte and just dive in. But I mean, that's all I wanted to say about that. Anything else? Okay. Let's just jump. Let's start with Forte since he's the favorite. I guess this is we have it right now. I guess it's in rank order, from a qualification standpoint. And I'm just going to click this. Emily, is this good for you to analyze with?
I have my monitor open as well, so
okay.
it's
right.
fine.
So all I wanted to do was, I mean, for people that are new, let me just get out of this for a second so you can see what I did. To the table is the horse's name. We're in the plot, and I thought it'd be easier since we don't have a surface density plot. I could kind of just click this horse, so we can kind of keep the plot up at the same time. I think there's enough information. It's not the full grid, but we're just kind of looking at the notes anyway. So I thought this would be okay. But if we need to dive into the grid, we'll do that. So Forte, Emily, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking, do you want to kind of play a game?
Yeah, I love it.
I feel like I just did like Saw 10. Do you want to play a game? But like we're talking to these horses, going like improve, regress, or stay the same, right? One of the three: improve, regress, or stay the same. So as far as Forte, I think the best Forte that we saw was in the Fountain of Youth. And I remember going back to that race, was coming off the layoff and watching the works. And the big question was like, is this horse ready to go off the layoff? Is he the same horse? Does he move forward as a 3-year-old? And like watching his works, I was like, oh yeah, he's in the right spot to run his race, right? He's going to, don't worry about that. Going forward, we'll have questions, but for that race, he's on. And then we kind of saw that in the Florida Derby, right? It's like his class prevailed, but I think he did kind of back up a little bit. And I think that's why when we get to whatever the chat decides to tell us the horse is called, we don't have numbers yet, so I can't default there. Looks so good because I think that was part of like where Forte was there. So from that standpoint, I'm looking at a horse where it's like I've seen this horse at his best.
Yeah.
Those,
Yeah.
And maybe even that 99 is his best. Now 96 might theoretically win this from that standpoint, but I don't see him as an improve. I see him as stay the same. And I don't necessarily think he's a horse that as far as distance is going to get better. And now just looking at the plot, I feel like third might be his ceiling.
Yeah, because he's got to have to work out a trip, and he just wasn't sharp in early in that Florida Derby, right? And he just kind of gutted it out, and I thought that field was a little bit suspect, and he kind of just gutted it out. And he beat Madge, who just kind of broke a maiden, right? And it was that Roman's horse who doesn't want any part of 9 furlongs. So I think. I expected more, an easier win too. I thought I was almost on hard on that race at one point. I was tthinking about that.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I mean, I don't think we need to say much more about that. And I agree with you with the plot. I mean, it's just he's got to work out a trip, and you don't want to take a short price in a big field like that. Practical move. I mean, this is the horse that won the Santa Anita Derby. It was kind of it was a competitive race. But again, he's kind of like a horse that is like 99, 100 his peak. Is he another horse that is not going to move forward and is going to kind of be maybe the same? Or the only thing that might be in his favor is that he's tactical, and that might work. And he plots as a Q1 square, which is a good place to be. But he's another horse I don't see like a ton of upside. I especially don't like no line. It's a big no for me. Especially when the horse is stretching out. But you watch this horse more. You follow Sandita. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I put my thoughts out on paper. You can see, I mean, I'm really trying to be descriptive here, so that leaves like nothing to be desired. But he's able to save ground. He got that first run. He had just enough to hold the wire. He was hurting place. The trip seemed to carry him. The top three were in a blanket. You could argue that Mandarin Hero, who unfortunately is way on the outside looking in, probably ran the better race that day. Yeah, he has some tactical speed, and again, that's probably on his side. That's carried many horses out in California. But another horse that it doesn't really seem to have much of a move forward. I mean, what you've seen, he's had a perfect trip 3 back, not against many horses. And you could even argue last out that even though he's in a field of 8 or even 2 back, when he's in a field of 9, he's really only in like a 4-horse field. Right. Let's keep it honest. Right. With those other horses that are in there. So this is a big test. And when you're getting perfect trips against 2-3 other horses, Yeah,
and he's not like one of those California horses with like that really speed. He doesn't have that.
Right.
Where he can like really work out a trip. So he's kind of like I don't know. Post is going to be very important for him. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's never been on the lead in any of his races. Yeah. So yeah.
They are who we think they are. I think a lot of this field is really going to be the story about them. Angel Empire. I didn't like this horse going in. I was against this horse going to the Arkansas Derby, but he won. You got hard there. I just thought he got the flow in the Risen Star, and I was kind of betting against him because I thought he's another horse that might have, maybe those 2 races had him over the top. Again, he's another horse I'm not kind of like, is there another move upside of this horse? I don't think. What about you?
Well, that's the thing that I've actually been kind of waiting. He's worked twice at Churchill Downs since, but I can't find video for it. I've seen him gallop. Which there's no knocks. He carries good flesh. He carries himself well. But this is a horse that, as far as the works go, the one that I'm most interested to see how he's training because of the factors that you mentioned, as far as the race shapes, the hard keyword last out. It's a horse that when you look at the days between the last race, he typically has like more time between starts. Yeah. So when he did,
when he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't do as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was starting off his career, but for sure. So, it's that to me is like is going to be one of the biggest things that I'm looking for is how that horse is moving forward, because I'm sorry, how he's going to work in terms of trying to assess. But there's a couple knocks at the same time. This race is so wide open, and he's in form. Yeah. If he's holding his form, he's as good as anybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna downgrade just because, again, I'm gonna go with the red keywords in the Q2 circle too, which is kind of a negative for at least on the win end. I'll be interested to see how he is training, because, like you said, he's fast enough. Okay, here's my boy. Right, I like this horse, but I don't like him in this race, especially if he's good. No, really. I mean, like another horse, he's really not gotten a lot faster, but the one thing he is he can finish. Okay. And there's no denying that. The problem is he's just so bad early, and you can't be like that in the Derby. He's going to leave him so vulnerable, with the trip if he doesn't get a good, and it's just like, he just doesn't, he's not alert. I don't know what it is. It takes him too long to figure things out. Once he gets rolling, but he's like in the Derby, and especially if this race is all kind of bunched up, I could see him have to be like 100 wide and losing a lot of ground. And, I don't know. He's gonna take money. I don't know. I'm between stay the same and downgrade him. I love the horse. I think he comes back into Belmont and wins, but I don't know about the Derby.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of has the same characteristics. I mean, going back to even his 2 maiden races out at Aqueduct, how he was like, he'd like turn his head and stretch, right? He's kind of like looking at the other horse. He's not like no line, but he's not like straight as an arrow, like head forward, ears
No.
up type horse, right? And so he's likely going to have those other horses on either side. It's also, there's somebody on YouTube. It's everybody that's out there, follow this person. It's a Pharaoh 12, who's recording works in the morning, but standing on the rail, doing a really good job. Their channel does really well, so it's like their channel gets like major numbers. But I think it's some of the best coverage, and part of the reason is you can hear the horses, right? Which is like key. One of the things when you're a clocker, right? You want to be able to like,
the breathing.
all 5 senses, right? It's just why I don't like the drone, right? Because there's so many things I can't see. I can't see if they're switching leads. I can't see the rider's hands. I can't see if the horse has blood in their mouth. All that type of stuff. It's great if you want to track them, but all those other things that kind of make a difference. And Tapit Trice is very loud when he's galloping. Like Frost doesn't bother about the vacuum, but when I had the video on, he was like, what's going on there? Tapit Trice and Rocket Can as well, and the same thing with Disarm. Very, very loud breathing on these horses. So for what it's worth. The sound isn't on the other.
But you got to admit, this horse's stride is second to none. I mean, one of the best strides we're striding horse. I mean, I can't see a horse in the last 5 or 10 years that I've seen that could outstride this horse. It's just like, he was tremendous with stride, but he's not a racehorse yet. You know what I mean? He's not a complete racehorse yet. I don't know if he'll ever get there either, but I'm just saying that, but I've never seen a stride. I mean, he just can make up ground on horses that you never think he can get there. And he just keeps going. All right. So what's your on him? Say the same. I mean, you got to consider him from underneath just because of his.
Yeah. Where's his plot? Yeah. He's in that spot for third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's our boy. Here's our boy. Now, I gotta admit, I was a little bit more up on this horse than you were, and going into that, you didn't just think it was the right race for him. You didn't, whatever. But that was an impressive performance. Anyway, we cut it. Big figure. We, like you said, the race has come back. I think 2 runners come back, and they ran what they should. Basically what they ran in that race. So it's not like an illegitimate race, but it was on synthetic. He was up close. He had a pretty good trip, but still. Where's he plot, by the way?
The only horse that's above the par line.
Yeah, interesting.
Which, this is even more interesting. You got to pull up the grid for this. He's been above the par line in every single one of his races. And I'm looking right now because I just looked this up. He's the only horse in this entire field that's been above the par line in every single race.
Wow.
That's pretty incredible. That's an upgrade to me.
Look at that. You can see what I'm doing here is like, you see what he's in Q2 circle, but if you go over here, you can actually see where he is. Isn't that cool? All the little things we did on this.
Yeah.
I don't even take advantage. To Emily's point, you see where he actually plots. He's above, he's kind of above, at least above this, maybe about the par line. But if you look over here, this is above the par line. This is what she's talking about, the plus.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a contender. I mean,
that's pretty wild. Yeah, he's an upgrade. I mean,
yeah. So, Lord Miles, this is the horse that won the Wood, right? At 175 to 1. He looks too slow. He's got to improve. I'm not a big fan of the Wood. The way he came back. I don't know the way he came back. I mean, just the time of it and the way it was run. I'm just.
Why doesn't it say blanket? Wasn't that a blanket finish?
I guess
thought it was a blanket. I thought it was a blanket finish.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Sometimes the blanket finish is like if there's a big separation between first and fourth, like whatever the horse is in the blanket, and I don't want to downgrade it too much because it might have been just 3 horses running really well. So typically, I want to see like the field right, kind of like right there at the wire, not like spread out. So that's probably why. Now it could have been that the field was so bad, but I don't know. That's the reason. That's the reason I didn't use it. I'm downgrading. Yeah, anything you want to talk about, Lord Miles?
I mean, you've been following his work, but yeah, I mean, he looks, if we're doing the improve, regress, stay the same game, I don't know if he can improve, but he would absolutely have to. Where's he on the plot? Oh, yeah, plot is
Q4
terrible.
circle, end of story.
Yeah.
Here's I'm upgrading this horse. I think this horse could win the race, and I hope he's a big price.
No, he's not going to be a big price. I think he'll be a third choice.
Double digits? You think he'd be third choice?
No. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anyway, he could win.
Chime in on the chat, everybody. If you think this horse will be double digits, you can just do a wire and.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's why there's a potential he could be at least 8-1, is because Forte's going to take money. Tapit Trice is going to take money. The Cox will take money. There's 20 horses in the race, and all the long shots get overbet. That's how. That's my opinion.
I still think he'll be. I mean, David Aragona has him at. Sheldon just typed in 7-2. That seems pretty short. David Aragona has him at 6-1.
6-1.
Under 10-1. Wise, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, but I think he's going to be more closer to 8-1. I think. So anyway, I watched the races. This horse could be run from the. He's tactical. He's got speed when he needs to. And in a race like this, I think it's perfect. His run style, he can kind of really adapt to the race. I don't know really if he gets challenged so much for class. I mean, like I said, he ran against that Baffert in Saudi Arabia. Now that was a weird race. It was like top two really went at it very fast. It was only a mile race. He was the only horse kind of coming at the end while still being close to the pace. So when you kind of look, I think some people have done some things with his speed figure, and maybe that's kind of why he's getting juiced, right? Because you kind of looked at the World Cup that day and seen how fast they run, even though it was a different distance. You can kind of do some math. So, I mean, I think, he'll figure, number wise for number of people if you kind of do that. He's getting some rest off he gets a little bit of a rest off that big effort. I don't know. I mean, he won that race so easily, Emily. I mean, I know he probably not a lot behind him, but a lot of other Japanese horses. And just seeing what happened in the San Diego Derby with the horse that shipped, who was running allowance races there, give them all they could handle, probably, like you said, was best in that San Diego Derby. I mean, this kind of positions him pretty well.
I mean, the horse that the Baffert horse that you're talking about is a sprinter that having a meltdown. That's a sprinter.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still fast, and it was the race shape was very fast early. It was only an 8 furlong race, so and it was kind of his first race back, his first race off a layoff, I think. And he ran like I said, he was gaining at the end again. He just knew it wasn't the right distance for this horse. I don't know, when you chase really fast horses, though, go a long distance, and you're chasing them and you're still able to stay on, and you're starting to gain at the end. To me, that's a good thing. That means that the horse just needed more distance, and he got it, and he crushed that field, and he won that race easy, even though he was getting pressed early, and he was just doing it so relaxed. The one thing I noticed about some of the Japanese horses, we'll get into when we look at the Oaks too, is that they must really the way they train them must be done. I mean, these horses really can learn how to relax. Even the horses that have speed, they're not like rank and crazy. They just kind of like get into their thing and they get into their cadence. And I don't know if it's a training thing or how they train. I know I watch some shows on them. They run a pill, they do all this other kind of stuff, but they might do something in tandems too, so that they get used to being around horses or what have you. But I don't know if they do. I don't know if they do like Hong Kong, where they actually run races like qualifying races, which simulate a race. So, but I don't know. He just looks fine to me. And do you have any opinion of him?
Oh, I mean, I'm with you. I think he's a contender. I talked about this when I was on with Jason Beam, that, as we mentioned, kind of go through his field and everybody's kind of, you've kind of seen them. I mean, there's no horse we've really looked at so far and said improve. This horse could be that one improve. He's a new face in a group of horses that are just kind of knowns. Alfred Banks with some good information saying he's 10-1 offshore as the 5th choice. That's good information.
Yeah, so 10-1 offshore. You would think offshore you would be lower.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Do you know what Sodagaki means?
No.
It's a wrestling move. It's like when the sumo.
Oh,
wrestler,
I did know that. Somebody posted it earlier.
Sumo wrestler, when he like does a takedown with the leg, when he wraps the leg. Yeah. Cool. It's cool that Japan's involved in these things now. I like it. I like more competition, better competition. Keeps everybody sharp. And I think it's good. King's Barn, that's the Pletcher horse. You kind of, what's your opinion? I know you've been watching this horse. I mean, you saw the last race. I mean, you thought he got flow. I remember you saying, I don't know when it was. You thought this horse never going to get that trip again. I remember you saying something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that was like the one scenario that horse needed in order to win, and he got it. Because he was not going to win. He was not going to win if he had to be pushed on a faster pace, and he was not going to win if he had to rate. That's it.
He may get that trip again. I mean, based on.
I don't think not with the 7 or Derma Sodagaki. I don't think he's going to get flow.
Yeah. So.
I mean, nobody, and also no riders are sticking with him, right? Like
Science
is elsewhere, Pratt is elsewhere. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you're downgrading him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, where's he? Yeah.
Raise Kane. I mean, to me, he's a toss. I got to go with the plot. Q4 circle. He would be breaking history.
Oh yeah, no, he's got the worst plot. But I mean, he's not bad though. I mean, his notes and stuff. It's like.
Yeah, it's just but he's been running against, like he's those like early on he wasn't fast. I mean, okay, maybe like I don't know if that.
No, a second start.
Then he kind of like just went. He really hadn't improved. He had synthetic. Then he got flow in that Gotham race, and then he was against the flow in the bluegrass, but still.
Still, he got a B- in there. He's kind of on an every other pattern. I mean, there's.
Yeah, I guess so. He kind of was grinding a little bit, but I mean, I'm a little.
He finished.
Shocked.
I mean, he finished in that actual blanket for 3rd.
Yeah, but I mean,
had those two.
Yeah.
He was closing.
Yeah, he actually. I'll be honest. I liked him. His finish better than the 2 that he finished behind in that race.
Yeah, well, I did too, and actually, that kind of it actually kind of concerns me a little bit with him, because I don't think that well, one, we'll talk about Disarm, but as far as Some Thunder, it's like you wanted to see him finish a little bit more, but at the same time, I think they were only riding to just get enough points. So it's like, it's hard for me to say, because if that race was like 2 months ago and it was like the prep for this, I would be like 100%. This horse is upgraded over Some Thunder. We saw, but because of the situation, but the fact that they were also trying to earn points and really had to work for it at the end.
Yeah,
I don't know. He could be more for underneath. I could upgrade him just kind of based on that current form.
Go on my plot. Trust in my information on him.
Yeah, I mean, this horse will probably be the longest shot of the race.
I don't want any part of this horse. I mean, I've been kind of negative on him for a while now. We talked about the fountain. I just think he kind of peaked. It's not going to get any better. I don't think this, distance is going to help him. I mean, the fact that maybe the pace scenario helps him a little bit. I don't know, but I don't want him. I'm going to downgrade him. Where is he on the plot? right
quite
now.
good.
He's quite good. But he always is. You know, he's always a cute
Yeah.
one, right? You know, I don't know. I just think I always go back to like, you know, where these horses start, like how fast they run early on, you know, to see if there's upside. And it's like, yeah, he did get better when they stretched him out, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of peaked a little bit right now. Again, he's the horse that, as far as in the morning when he's galloping, he's the noisiest of that entire group. So that was like that was just like a big negative to me off his works. And then there was some interview with like Bill Mott, and Bill Mott didn't seem that encouraged. This is the type of horse, like, look at those 2 Churchill races. This is going to be. When have I made this? Oh, this is the same angle as Olympiad in Breeders' Cup. Okay, similar angle. Okay,
Yeah.
Where Rocket Can, those races in October 30th and November 26th are some of the strongest races that he's run figure wise. Yeah. Maybe efforts at Churchill Downs, right? So it seems like maybe after this cycle, maybe after this race, maybe he's benched and then he comes back in the fall.
Yeah, that's cool. Because they got perfect trips in both those, pretty much. Good trips in both of them. Yeah, so I'm downgrading him. I think you're kind of with me. Hit show. What a hit show. I mean, he was the one. Oops. I think he went to the back.
He's another one I just don't think has as much upside. He's been kind of rank in the morning, which I don't know. I've never watched him work. Maybe that's just how he is. I don't know what little bit headstrong in there, but
recycle this. Yeah, keep talking. I gotta just recycle this because.
Okay. Yeah, I mean his race. He was like that tricky horse, right? Because they were going to run in the Southwest, and then when that race got postponed, they ended up waiting another week. Then he ran in the Withers, where he was just kind of a standout in that field. And he ran fine in the Wood Memorial, but again, you know, there was those 3 horses together at the wire. Maybe not the strongest group of horses, and he's still kind of below par for this race with some favorable trips. Last out, obviously not a favorable trip, but I don't know. You didn't seem to kind of upgrade from that. So I don't know. I don't know if this horse is good enough. And distance wise, I'm not crazy that the more ground, the better, despite his running style.
Yeah, I don't have a gauge on his horse, so I would kind of just think sideways, maybe at best. Where's he plot? He's the 11. Yeah.
Q2 circle.
Yeah, maybe he's got a chance. Maybe he's got a chance for a piece, but I'm not confident on the win end.
Yeah, he's kind of a downgrade actually, because he's always been like a quad 4, quad 2 square. He's never been a quad 2 circle.
We'll see where he ends up. You know, again, pay attention. We don't know because, you know, you take some of these horses out, these plots change. Confidence game coming off a layoff, pretty significant layoff. Yeah.
Sorry, one more thing I forgot to add. Going back to Rocket Can, he's been working in blinkers. They're going to race him in blinkers for what it's worth. Okay, we can move on. Okay, confidence game.
Confidence game. So he's coming off a layoff, Emily. Pretty significant layoff. You know, coming into this race, he gets that good performance in the Rebel, which was in the slop. Another horse that's kind of run a couple of, you know, he's run it before at Churchill Downs. It's not okay. Lost the stakes race there though. Is he class-wise? Is he kind of line up here, or what are you thinking? I mean, I remember we liked him that day, right? The Rebel. Then we.
Yeah. I made a strong case for him in the Rebel. And part of that, and keying off that was actually, and this just like popped into my mind, was that November 26th race at Churchill Downs, because how freaking game that effort was. Now, this horse could be on the lead. This horse might be on the lead. That might be their best chance in this race, actually. Because going into going into the comp, that was kind of my one knock, is that his races where he's been on the lead, he had been really tough to pass, and he got a really great ride in the Rebel, and there were some other horses in there that I think were just faster to kind of move into that stocky trip. Yeah, that pace was like very fast. So he kind of fell into that trip with the other pace setters. But yeah, this is a horse that could definitely be on the lead, and coming off the layoff, that might be their best option.
Okay, let's just where does he plot? He's okay, so he's in quadrant 1, a little bit of a bigger circle than typical winning profile, but maybe he can get a piece, right? Let's go to. It's hard to look at the plot. I'm going to just go to the grid. It's hard to get this thing working when it goes lower. There's just so many freaking horses in this race. Are we up to 13 then, right? 12 was, yeah. So 13 is verifying. Yeah. I kind of changed that to tactic plus in that race. You know, I thought he got the right trip, but he ran well. I mean, he ran well, no knocks. You know, it was a good race. I don't know. I know that bumping. I don't know what occurred. I don't know who bumped who, but it looked like he bumped the winner. I know
it doesn't say anything about bumping in the note.
Yeah, but it was kind of like late in the race, and it was like looked like maybe there wasn't. I mean, I know they looked at it, but I think it was him that came out. But he got a good, you know, he got a good trip, ran a good race. He's okay. You know, I don't. Let's see where he plots. That crazy.
I think verifying is a lot like that too. What's that horse? Practical Move. I think he's a horse that, with his running style, has been kind of flattered at times, and I don't know.
Yeah, because look at his 2 big races: Perfect Trip and a Tactics Plus.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he's a downgrade. 14, Sun Thunder. This is your horse. I think that's 4th finish. If they actually rode, I agree with you 100%. They did not ride to win that race. Because he was on the turn, they were just trying to figure out how to pick up pieces. But in my opinion, if they rode that horse to win the race, he would have lost by more.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But now they're Drew off. This horse could be 10 points faster.
That's true.
This horse is the fastest horse in the race. Another horse that's going to have equipment change. He's been training in blinkers. He's going to wear blinkers for the Derby. But yeah, what's that?
I think that's bad. I mean,
you know what? At this time.
Yeah.
With this particular horse, I don't care because as we talk about it, this race is so wide open. If we're looking at horses, if I'm using the analogy of I want like the new face, I'm willing to do something, you know, something different. And if the horse was like 5-1, okay, you know, like Rocket Can, he's probably going to be much shorter of these two. I'm against, because I've seen that horse at his peak. He's coming off perfect trips. They're adding the blinkers. It's like, dude, experiment city. But with this type of horse, they've kind of always pointed him to this race. Hernandez is going to be back aboard. They've been working him in blinkers. This is kind of, you know, this is home court for the horse. And I could say, if anything, I don't know. Maybe he's just not good enough. But of the horses in here, he might have the best chance to be improved.
I'm against it.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be another horse in this race that's going to be like 50-1. So, that's what I'm saying. As far as price compensation, it's going to be there. I mean, he has no red. He has no red.
Yeah, no, I get you.
He has a 100.
Yeah, no, what I don't like is that they're going to put blinkers on him. So what does that mean? They're going to want him they're going to try to put more speed into this horse, I assume. Right? And
it's a very shallow cup blinker.
Oh, okay. So, you know, I just think if they try to ask this horse to be closer or, you know, just within touch of the field, I think taking him out of his style, natural style, is going to hurt him. That's just what I think. And like I said, he was just kind of like, he was going up. They weren't asking him to do anything in that race. Then you just kind of like sucked up, and they barely got fourth, and third, or fourth. Where they finished fourth, yeah.
That was also. I mean, it was like a 2-week turnaround. I mean,
no, I got you. But he's coming back again. I mean, he's in 28 days. You know, it's another fairly quick turnaround. I mean, he's sometimes these horses that run a lot. It's not a bad thing. Especially underneath. I mean, this is a horse I would not be putting on top any tickets, but underneath, yeah, why not? How does he plot?
I don't even know.
Oh, the Q2 circle. That's a negative to me too.
But the thing is that you mentioned that he comes from like well off the pace, and see, the thing is, I don't think that is his natural running style, because his Oakland Park maiden win, that December 31st race, he was not far off the pace. He was sitting in mid-pack. He had to make a couple moves in there. Then he broke slow in the slop, so that had him off the pace, and he was on the rail that day. And then the Risen Star, that's when they went really fast, right? Yeah. The Risen Star is when they went really fast early. So I think he was like well off the pace because they went so goddamn fast, and Cabrera is not the best. So in the
he's broke.
No, that was Cabrera too bad. But
he's broke 10th, 12th, 8th.
Yeah.
9th.
I think that's the reason for the blinkers.
Okay. Maybe. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. So 15 is Wild on Ice. This is the horse won the Sunderland Derby. This would be a massive upset. I mean, they ran 100, but that was completely an outlier. What do I got on the note here? Stalk 3 wide all the way mid-turn. Looked exhausted. He looked tired late. I think his figure might be inflated. I'm not betting this horse anywhere. So
yeah, there was another horse. The horse that finished second that day, I think, came back at Santa Anita, like on a quick turnaround, and didn't run very well.
He's got a kind of toss plot.
That low expectations horse came back in the Santa Anita Derby, ran a 36. 36 Optix figure, beat 57 lengths.
This would be like Mind That Bird. This was one even worse. Yeah. Here's your horse.
He might be the same number as Sun Thunder.
No way. Sun Thunder would be like half his price. But I shouldn't say that, because the Derby's stupid, and you get those long shots. I mean, Mind That Bird was an underlay as far as I was concerned.
Right.
Anyway, Madge. I'm sorry, Mind That Bird fans. Because he ran well in the Preakness too. Ran well after a couple of races, but never won after the Derby. I did the same thing with Always Dreaming. Those are the two horses I bashed. And they never won after the Derby, though. So this horse ran really well out of his maiden race. He ran two decent races. We have kind of projected more. I had more looks like a turf type. Thought he regressed a little bit in his second start, then he improved. That was a good race here on the Florida Derby. He was right there with Forte. But I don't know. I mean, he's not as good as Forte, and I don't know. Does he get? Is he going to take some money because of this race? Saez goes elsewhere, right? I guess he stays on
Castellano is going to ride.
Yeah, Tapit Trice, I guess. So he's on. Saez on top. I don't know. What you're thinking of this horse? It's kind of young, not a lot of foundation here. I know that's kind of doesn't matter anymore in the Derby, but to me, I would like to see a little bit more seasoning. I think this horse getting thrown a little bit to the wolves early on.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably just going to be an underlay. Where does he plot?
16.
Okay, he's a Q2 square.
Q2 square, not too bad. He's a good horse. I
mean, he's also going to have to transfer Gulfstream Park for him, which I think is something that's worth discussing, because that's not always the easiest to do.
Yeah, this doesn't.
Because I mean, at least with Forte, he's run outside of Gulfstream Park, But a lot of those horses at Gulfstream Park have a hard time running elsewhere.
Yeah, it's true. It's just a different place, different kind of, Disarm. This just horse, just hasn't kind of moved forward. And I guess this is one of the breathing horses, right? the loud horses.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's kind of a hype, maybe a hype horse. It seems like, the Twin Spires show and then watching the other show or watching the other video, which is just the horses training. They're talking this horse up a bunch on Twin Spires, but, so I don't know. And I mean, he's probably a horse that will take money because people look at, the connections and he hasn't
Right. He's never run out of money.
And, but a C+ in a grade 3, B-, get out of here.
Yeah.
No
yeah.
shot.
And he's not the most, he has a tendency not to break all that well. He's not a really quick starter, where's he plot?
Q4 square.
Wow. That's not good. It's kind of like on the border here.
Yeah.
Not for him, you know what I mean? I would like to see something higher up on the plot, kind of hovering, the middle of the, kind of have one of those Kentucky Downs plots, right? Big square in the center.
Yeah, which is where he's kind of been. Not really, but he's been he was Q2, standard last out, and then even though he was Q4 surface distance,
that's exactly where he was last time, Emily.
Yeah.
You see where he's plotting right in the middle there.
Yes. Yeah. Now he's right down to the bottom.
That's where, that's kind of where we expect him to be. That's useful, that little thing. Okay, reincarnate. Thanks, Dave. Reincarnate. It's kind of like the figures seem to be going the wrong way. Kind of looks, he's kind of pace dependent, kind of a lot of plotty. Right? Anything you like?
He's pretty mid. I mean, he's probably one of those that can hit the board, but
let's see where he's
tough.
He's the 18, right?
He's plotty. Yeah.
Okay. The 19, Chase's Road. I remember. Yeah, he's just too slow. Where's he plot? Okay.
I mean, this horse, regardless of where he is, he's another one that they probably have to send.
Yeah.
Because what other chance? I mean, Giroux might try to rate,
the thing is like, we talk about like sending horses. You have to have like a fast horse to send the horse to in a race like this.
Right.
And it's really not that fast. So it's like, you could try to send them. Good luck,
But I mean, at the first call, where he is, he's in the first call position, right, with 13 and 12, whoever those horses are, verifying and confidence game on the first call.
Yeah.
So I think
but if we're saying a practical move and Derma Sodagaki got more speed, I don't know.
Yeah.
Then these guys are in trouble.
Yeah.
Because they're not as fast, not as good as them. This is the other Japanese horse. I don't see this horse being. He ran it really well in that last race, but I don't see this horse being a 1.25 mile horse. He's run against Derma Sodagaki. He's got a head handed to him.
And he's been Derma Sodagaki has beat the brakes off him this morning in that workout.
Yeah, just a better horse. So
yeah.
Maybe he doesn't go. I don't know. But we'll see how this all shakes out. So Skinner, this is a horse that we were high on the San Diego Derby. We kind of picked him as one of the, we were high on this one and then the Japanese horse. And it kind of looked like he made a move, Emily, and he flattened out. And I see you got a note short. I don't disagree with that. I expected him to win that race. The way he was making that move, I thought he was going to just blow by everybody. He kind of hung a little bit. Is that what your thought was with him? But,
yeah, run him in that Pat Day mile.
Now look at this. This is an interesting thing, though. I'm going to show you something. Look at where he plots. that's the exact horse right there.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. You know, it just seems like he's like, here's the thing. If they don't try to win this race and they maybe just time his move to be later, maybe he can pick up some pieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
He's a good horse. He's tons of quality. I mean, he stacks up on everything else.
So
I don't think there's anybody in this field that's real, you know, classic
maybe
distance.
Maybe they just like, you know, don't try to like, you know, go crazy with them. And don't move them too early. You know, maybe they just wait, and you know, maybe he makes his one move late to pick some, you know, something.
Yeah,
that's a thought. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've no underneath. Absolutely, I think on top is kind of a bit of a reach.
Dicey, yeah. This is the Romans horse that we're talking about. I don't see this horse being a mile and a quarter horse. I don't think this horse has the quality. He's okay, but this is one of those horses that you talked about being really a Gulfstream horse. He ran okay there. I mean, he's got a, you know, he's coming out of the same races as Forte, and Forte's got to beat him twice now. I don't know.
I'll tell you what though.
He's training well.
He looks good training. Yeah.
The Romans horses sometimes look like they can signal something coming. So Romans likes him, right? So he's been high on him.
Yeah, I mean his races. I mean his races in Kentucky. They're, you know, they're all bad races. They're all juvenile races. They're all with Talamo. Maybe he just improved with Talamo getting off his back.
Yeah, I mean I can't see him out finishing anybody. You know, maybe he's the horse that goes to the lead. Who's on? They don't have a rider name.
Nobody. Well, he's on the 8.
If Talamo gets named to him,
yeah, that's okay. Is Gaffleone? Is Gaffleone? Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, Gaffleone is on verifying.
Yeah. So I mean, my thing, I would try to set and hope for the best. That's how my tactic would be on this horse. You know, kind of was on the pace. He's mostly, you know, been close. His better races have been on the, you know, close to the paces. Interesting to see that. I don't know if he didn't break well that day or they took him off. I don't remember. I just don't see this horse. You know, let's see where he plots. That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Q1.
Maybe he's underneath another horse.
Yeah.
You know, maybe, you know, hangs in there for the super or something like that. Major Dude comes out of the same race as Two Phils. So, I mean, if you upgrade him 2 Phils, you got to consider this horse ran pretty well. And I don't know if he's a dirt horse. So this is a horse I would be really interested if anyone's seen anything in terms of this horse working out.
I think he looks on the like smaller side. He looks kind of runty.
Runty, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even in the 2 Phils race, I mean, I know 2 Phils was like pulling away from the field, but this horse was like right inside. Could have had like first run. So I don't know. Needs some racing luck, but
yeah, doesn't plot badly. Something you might want to consider. But who knows? He probably not even getting in the race right now. At least he's on the outside.
Yeah.
And so is Mandarin Hero. So the horse we thought ran really well in the Derby.
Yeah, this horse would be just such a major upgrade to me. It'd be like an A if he's able to get in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a winning. That's the best race in my opinion in the Santa Anita Derby.
The best of the prep races.
No, I mean like the best horse in like a legitimate like grade 1 type,
right?
You know,
so
quality type race. That
it probably was the best, you know, in your opinion, the best horse, best prep race because it was like, you know, I mean, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we're saying Skinner's legitimate, and you know,
practice was legitimate, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's another horse that I you know, you could pretty do much anything come from off the pace. I like the rate that, I mean, I don't know who he's running against, but 3 back, that race, I thought that horse made, I mean, 2 really good moves. I mean, he made a burst like very early in the race to get into like position. And then he dueled to the stretch, right, with the other horse, and they left the field like about 100 miles behind. So I mean, all green is 3 races. You know, he proved that he's fast enough with his U.S. debut. You know, it's all about, you know, is this horse going to, if this horse makes another move forward, major contender, right? If he gets in. Have you seen him? Has he been around, Emily? Has he been working?
I haven't seen him. I haven't seen
him. He may be back home for all we know, right? I don't. But anyway, contender if he's able to get in. King Russell looks too slow to me. But
yeah, he's pretty slow.
Run second in the Arkansas Derby. Looked good on the track, at least you thought, going into that race. So it might have peaked in that effort. And if he does get in, it looks like it's gonna be tough for him. But you never know. He's got a Q4 square, small square.
Yeah, especially if he looks good on the track that day, you know.
So, but not an easy race.
No.
But I would say that so I would be taking some short prices on the Pletcher horses. What do you think the fair value? Not fair value. What do you think the odds are going to be on Forte?
I think what's that?
7-2.
I think so. Yeah, I think that the favorite will kind of sit there 7-2.
And Tapit Trice 9-2, 5-1. You think? 6-1. What do you think?
Yeah, I think him and Practical Move will probably be in that same spot, like
so just
9-2, 6-1, somewhere in there for both
right,
those
so
horses.
If you do that, that definitely means Derma Sodagaki has got to be at least 8-1.
Okay.
Right, just thinking of numbers, right? Just think you start adding up. So that's why I'm saying, to me, I think that horse is going to be the value in the race, the 7. If that plays out that way.
No, I mean, maybe Tapit Trice is the 4th choice.
Really? I don't know. Bluegrass, it's a big race. You know, he pounded, you know.
I know, but like speed figure wise is not like. But I guess none of these horses are. I don't know. know.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I would, play the board. Make sure you get the plot after the scratches. Well, at least early on, the early scratch. At least let's get a regular field first. And again, I'll put this up there with the plot because it's really a useful tool. Like because Emily and I have done this, we put superfecta tickets together for Derby for a couple of years, and it's like, oh, okay, how do we feel about this? Oh, he's this square. Okay, yeah, 3rd, 4th. You know, it really does help. Helps you kind of get rid of some other horses that might be on the fence. Cleans it up because in a 20-horse field, it's really hard to handicap. And it, like I said, it's been very predictive, which it's not that way in a lot of the time. It's probably the most. There's certain plots too, certain parameters that make it predictive, but the Derby has been very predictive, where as opposed to like something like the Oaks. So anyway, that's the Derby.
Well, with kind of, just one more point on that is like as far as like putting together those exotic tickets. Like if you're looking at the plot and like those 2 horses that we talked about, like Forte and Tapit Trice, from where they're sitting on the plot, and if they're going to be short prices in this race, we're going to do the Oaks too. Hang out if you got to jump, you got to jump. But we're going to do the Oaks after this. But in terms of tickets, like those are horses that you might. I shouldn't say you might, but like if that's your opinion, right? Not ones you need to key around. You can find other horses to key around, and then those 2, where a lot of people go, oh, well, maybe they could, Well, yeah, of course, maybe they could. You say maybe they could about everybody, but if they're shorter prices and you have any bit of information, any edge that can get you elsewhere, make those the keys and like give yourself more bankroll, not, whatever those horses are, for you. That's what I'm saying.
One thing I'm never going to say ever again because I hate it. He could win. I don't want to ever say that again. I hate that. Like when someone says, "Well, he could win." Yeah.
They all could win.
Everyone could win, right? He could win. Okay, so that's my default. Like if my horse doesn't win, I told you he could win. It's one of those things. I hate it. So it's just one of my pet peeves. I know I've said it before myself, so I just want to try to stay away from it. He could win. The Forte could win, Emily. You know that? He could win. I hope he could win. So, all right. So that's the Derby. Let's shoot over. Any questions out there about the Derby, Emily? No?
I don't. Let me just think. Let me go up. Confidence game on the lead is what I've been thinking. Yeah, fresh off the layoff. I think so too. With the plot, Romans is high on everything he runs. I tend to agree. Trainer comments with a grain of salt. H was so wide in Florida Derby. It was a sneaky good race. Who's H?
I don't know. H in the Florida Derby?
Yeah. H? H was so wide. I don't know who H is.
Cycle Mischief, maybe? Madge?
I don't know.
Let me just open this race.
Was there a jockey called H? Roman's horse.
Oh, Matt. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's a long shot. Cycle Mischief. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I upgraded the way that he's been working, but he's one that's on the also eligible list, so he would need a lot of luck to draw in, and he's probably not the best horse in the race or the best suited to the distance, but the number, the compensation, if the horse is doing well, wide, could be sitting on a good enough effort for something.
I just
he think could win. Just kidding.
Yeah, he could win. Not to me. I don't think the distance. I mean, he just doesn't gain ground in the stretch. He loses ground in the stretch in his last 3 races, which is not a good Kentucky Derby thing. Okay.
No, it isn't.
All right. So we're gonna go. Let's pull up. Okay, we got a big. There's another one where you're gonna have to check it afterwards, right? Because there's only 14 horses in this race, right? Allowed, right? This is not right. Yeah. They don't run. I don't think. Okay. So this is another race. This race is different, even though like the contention's Sun. I think this is a race that's got a lot more pace in it than the Derby, obviously. But I think it's got a lot of pace in it. And so I think the horse that is misrepresented on the plot is the 20. Now, I don't know if
don't worry about that horse.
He's not in?
Well, the horse is going to need 6 scratches.
No. I don't think that. Oh, is this the same thing as in qualifying order?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know that. Okay. Never mind. Okay. Never mind. Okay. So him and the. Okay. All right. So, but still, there's a lot of like kind of pace up front here. So, I don't know if they're fast horses, but it looks like it could be contentious early on, just looking at the plot. It's my opinion. Even though it's the contentious kind of snowflake, I think it could be. It's because the reason is it's not, the speed rating is not high, so no one's like, I don't see anyone kind of separating. I don't know. What's your thought on it?
Is this a quad 3 square plot? Do we have a quad 3 square plot?
Could be. Now that the 20's out, that could be. You're talking about like the 6 and the 8 and those types of horses.
6, 8,
typically,
5.
you don't. Typically on a Q3 square plot, you don't have as much traffic up front. You don't have as many horses in quadrant 1. Like it's.
And that's typically snowflake. Sorry,
it's a little bit cleaner. It's a little bit cleaner. It's not as clean. So I would say not really. Okay. Again, it depends. Like if let's think about though. I'm like 17 comes out, 18 comes out, 16 comes out. It can look a lot different.
Yep.
So it's a hard read on the plot right now. So to me, this is a tough race. I mean,
but the one thing that we should say is the 1 is probably going to be favored, and you're talking about a favorite who's a deep closer.
Yes.
Deep closer, almost off the plot closer.
Yeah. Who kind of needs the race to come to him, her, and that's one of the runners I'm not. I mean, the horse could win, but I don't know. Let's go to the grid. Let's go to the videotape. Let's go to real grid.
I hate all these notes on this horse. Every single race is like waiting for this horse to get beat. Every single one. Tactic, move, flow. Tactic, slog. Weak, slog. Ugh.
Yeah.
You can have her at a short price.
Yeah. She asked.
Broker Maiden at Horseshoe Indianapolis. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm against her. Affirmative Lady.
This horse is legitimate.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm a little concerned about the distance. I'm not sure about that race as a 2-year-old Demoiselle. I put in the swap, and then she kind of like didn't improve, much speed figure wise until recently in that race. She kind of got the trip, and I'm just not sure. Still, I don't know. I'm old. I don't know why I wrote in my notes a little distance. I'm still wondering if this horse gonna want the distance. I don't know about the Gulfstream races preps. I don't trust them. Kind of weird results in those 2 preps. The 2 races. So I mean, she's kind of like duplicated her 2-year-old number. I don't know. I'm not really anticipating another move forward. I could be wrong. Defining purpose.
It's one of my best notes of all time.
Perfect trip, you mean?
The note 2 back on February 25th.
That
was catching what happened there. Nobody saw that but me. Watching a horse stumble inside the gate? Come on.
That's pretty cool.
That's like a master class notes taker right there. And then the horse comes back, and wins at 20-1. I mean,
so what do you think? Do you think she's that horse that ran the last race, or the horse that ran the races, the 8 races, or whatever, 6 races before?
Well, those races weren't bad. Those races weren't bad either.
No.
I mean, she was like on a progressive, on a progressive pattern.
But class-wise, there was she ran good in all the the less competitive races. Like the grade 3, she ran 6th. The grade 2, she ran 5th, right?
But she's running B-. Well, so the honeybee, I mean, honestly, maybe I'm making an excuse out of that, right?
Okay.
Maybe that's an excuse. And then otherwise, like, the grade is still B-. The goldenrod grade is still B-.
Yeah.
When's a grade 1?
What a perfect trip, yeah. She needed perfect trip. Where's she plot? Plot's pretty good, I guess. I don't know. She's more of she plots well.
Yeah.
Knocks there. Peak, like that, peak horses. I don't know. I just think those horses run at Keeneland, and his horses run at Keeneland. But let's see. Not to say they don't run everywhere else, but I just thought maybe that was the time for that horse. Depends on the price, I guess. So this horse had a no finish in a Tactics Plus in the last 2 races. Some red marks there, but she did run well. First and second in grade 2 races. I guess she's okay. No, really knock. I just don't like the right keywords in the last 2 races. That's kind of like what I'm triggering off of. Am I wrong? No finish is kind of a real negative term. You still there?
Well, yeah.
I can't see it because I'm looking at the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was like maybe a regress because she ran her best race, first start off the layoff on February 18th.
That's another thing I don't like. When a horse regresses in the second start off a layoff, typically I don't see them making another move forward. They usually kind of regress again.
Well, she's had 41 days since. Walsh has been sending out live horses.
At Keeneland, yeah.
At Keeneland. Yeah. I mean, the five to me is more negative red keywords, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so too. And peaking, peaked figure wise.
Yeah.
Right. So I think
Yeah.
that's done great. Promise Her America ran a big race at Aqueduct in the Gazelle, but didn't even get a B plus. But I tell you the truth, I mean that race, I think the race actually was faster than the Wood. It was right there with it. What was the Wood? I think it was very close. It was run on the same day at Aqueduct, so it was a good race. Does she have another move forward? That was a race off a left, possibly.
Where did that race come from?
I don't know. I mean, these horses. Yeah, she's bred 53 in her debut, 83. I don't know. I don't know where that race came from, but it was good. It's a good race. I think. Let's see work. How's she working? Just numbers. She hasn't had a work since that race.
Ooh. Well, it was 27 days ago. Yeah, there's some negatives there.
You're taking a shot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if she runs back to that race, she can win.
Yeah.
All right.
This horse kind of had chances. Kind of looks slow, but you're going to tell me this horse is going to run B minus in the grade 3, C1 and C plus in the grade 1, the juvenile as a 2-year-old. I mean, it's 2-year-old. Yeah. Her 2 races since then have been okay, but no move forward.
Yeah, I mean, she's there. I think B minus by default. 2 starts back, and the Santa Isabel is a 5-horse field, perfect chalk winner, open length winner in that spaced out race. How many were running in that April 8th race? 8 that day. Oh, 5 is it? Yeah, I mean, this horse. I just don't think she's very good. Yeah, she's just terrible plot. Yeah.
Botanical. This is the horse been running on synthetic and turf only. Hasn't done anything wrong. All B pluses. Don't know what she's really facing there. But it looks like even the Optix fig range looks comparable in her last race. How does she plot? 8, right? She plots okay.
Yeah.
Surface is the big thing, I just would watch her how she's training.
I mean, she's one that probably has to be on or near the lead.
Yeah,
you would imagine.
I don't like
the note says synthetic. So.
I don't like Landaros pretty much for a big race like this. He's okay. Just I don't know. Just have my question.
I mean, if he goes to the front,
yeah.
But I know what you're saying. Like if he has to come from like off the pace and like.
Well, he's got to do something, like something that just. Dort.
But yeah, I mean, to your point, maybe he doesn't go to the lead, and he's going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to try to rate," and then then it's a liability for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this horse wants one turn. That's my opinion. Ran really kind of upset in the Devona Dale. That horse was like 40 something to 1.
46.7 to
1. She ran really good, but the figure wasn't that big. I mean, she's run faster before. That's why I was saying, like, I was just questioning the quality of the Florida races. Came back, was wide, second off a layoff, so regress. I don't want Dark Fate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think doesn't have that kind of profile, like Churchill Oaks kind of horse. This is another horse that's in the Gazelle. This horse is okay.
This horse is okay.
Yeah.
This horse is okay. Yeah, definitely.
And she's got some kind of, I think she might be kind of rounding into a good race, and good connections. That's obvious, but I just think she might be rounding a good race. I think distance-wise, she handles the distance, she handles the class level. She was just running in state bred. She's a New York bred, right?
Yeah.
And she's been able to bounce out of that and really turned into a monster. to some extent, right? I mean, a monster New York bred, right? You know,
Well,
she was,
and I
she
mean,
was
by
facing New York
these
bred.
standards, you know, she's holding her own against these other horses. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she fits. She's consistent. She's got, you know, stamina, got the right running style.
You could do worse.
Yeah. No, she's fine. No knocks.
Allie's look. This horse just looks too slow to me.
Yeah.
I think this horse needs a drop, like you said.
Yeah.
And 12 is Flying Connection is another Sunland horse. This horse ran, you know, pretty good in that race. Put away that Baffert horse and kind of went clear. But again, it was like it looks like the same profile that other horse in the Derby, where you know, like just that one big figure comes out of Sunland race, which you know, kind of like scratch your head, like you know, this horse has been sprinting. There's another horse that looks like this horse could be okay. So this horse looks like a pace setter, and look, he kind of sits. This is a horse that probably is going to go for the lead and be the pace of the race, is my guess, by the way it plots. So that would make, you know, the 6 tries to right off that horse. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know if the right profile for this race, but a pace factor at least. Right? Just seems more sprint one turn maybe type. I don't know. Okay. So this is the Japanese horse, and she's good. And the one thing, like I was saying about the other Japanese horses, they rate. She's fast, Emily, but she can really sit and rate. So she could sit like off that 12 in a fast pace, rate on her, and then push by. I mean, I thought that race she ran hard. You know, the race that she won, that was with that O'Neill horse, the one that the 20 you said ignore, who ran really lights out that day. And she came back and ran kind of okay, but she kind of like she ran her eyeballs out that day against this horse. I thought that was a hard race on her, but she's been given plenty of time. So I'd be watching how she trains. But again, this horse is, to me, an obvious contender. I know I'm really Japanese this last month or so, but I think she's another contender in here. And I like her run style. I think it might fit here. She's not bothered by fast paces, chasing fast, but she can really relax. She can kind of turn it on and off. And I think that's pretty good. I think she's going to.
Yeah, I think she's going to work in the next couple days because she's there. I've seen her kind of jog and etc. But I think she works in the next couple days. So yeah, keeping an eye on her for sure. But definitely leave it in the mix. Can't knock in this field.
No.
This is the 14 is the one I'm like the most interested in. I think this horse is so legitimate.
What talk about?
Well, I mean, she's a multiple grade 1 winner. She's been competitive in graded stakes races. The note last out. I mean, I don't really know. This isn't my favorite note because it says like C+ traffic wide, which is kind of average. But then the extended comment says not her trip that day, never found comfort zone. So it's like, is that excuse? Like, is that improve? Like, you know, so it's like, and there's too many like mixed going on. So I just like, okay, let's pretend that race isn't there for whatever reason. And every other race is incredible. Like it fits with this group.
Yeah. And I mean, like this.
So, and the fact that race is there means she's probably going to get overlooked.
And, not a bad record at Churchill either, right?
Right. Yeah. She's, I mean, proven in Kentucky and, yeah. And I mean, Gaffleone might stick with her because I don't think that she was on the also eligible up until I think a day ago or so, a couple days ago.
She looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you remember that it's one of these races. I gotta look. One of these races came back. Florida race came back really strong. I was just wondering which one it was. I just gotta look now.
Well, Julia Shining would also be upgraded if she draws into this race.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
She's one that's from the Demoiselle, I think.
This race didn't come back. Okay. It didn't come back that great. It was another race. I think it was the that I forget the other I forget the other Tampa race that they run. This can't think of it right now. Okay, so
well, actually, go to the where is it? Yeah, the 16. The 16 came out of the Sun Coast and improved. Comes out of the same Ashland.
Okay.
Yeah. So that horse I think would be legitimate in here as well.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I said it's don't ignore the 20 not as an individual, but just the fact that they might not get in because there's 4 horses ahead of them, 5 horses ahead of them.
Taxed. I'm a little concerned about the distance. I'm a little concerned about the
quality.
Class, quality, lots of things about this horse.
Yeah.
And I don't think the pace dynamics are going to work in the horse's favor either. That's where this horse plot. Yeah, I don't like this horse. Taxed. Okay. Is Julia Shining? There's the one we talked about. Projected improve in the Sun Coast, and she did, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
And being that it was a grade 1, I mean, she's
a B race in a grade 1. Yeah,
she's another one that's okay. I mean, she's really done nothing wrong in her races either.
Yeah.
Where's she plot, Emily? She plots well.
Quadrant 2 square. Yeah.
No, she's okay. I mean, I think we got to look at the odds, but I think so far horses that we said were okay were the 10. We were like negative on the 1. We were okay on the 10, 16, and 14, right? Those are the ones.
13, Mimi.
13, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
13.
And the
13. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The 2 and the 3 are question marks, but the one is the favorite. Is just is a weaker favorite that you just kind of have to take on, given the favorable trips, the weaker race that she's coming out of, the fact she has gait issues. She's going to have to close from pretty much off the plot. I can be happy to take that horse on every single race.
Sure, absolutely,
without any hesitation.
Absolutely. So we're talking about horses now that might not get in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this horse, I don't know, just kind of went off form, right? Kind of looked like it was improving. It looked like a good 2-year-old season, just hasn't transferred it to a 3-year-old season. Not really excuses. Just doesn't look like she transitioned from 2 to 3 and got any better. Just seemed to regress, right?
Yeah.
18 punch bowl, run, okay in all 3 races. No knocks here. She's just, I'm just wondering. Let's see.
She's kind of like Madge, where it's just like, is this like a little bit too much?
Too much too soon, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Where's she plotting these days? She plots 18. Pretty well, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's kind of a squirrel.
Yeah. In a good plot, yeah, for sure.
Oops, let me get rid of this. And then the 19, Sacred Wish. This is gonna be a big challenge distance-wise for this horse.
Class 2.
Yeah.
The race that she won it.
I mean, you want to compare, like, she's lightly raced too. You want to compare her to the 18. It's not even a comparison, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, I want to mention this. The race that she broke her maiden at, that March 5th race where she has a strong speed figure.
Yeah.
That's a condition at Oaklawn Parks here. That purse is $65,000.
Yeah.
That's a conditional maiden special weight race for horses that sold at auction for a certain price or below. I think it was a $75,000 cutoff. So those are like, they're not even quite the maiden special weight races. It's like,
well, look at the Optix figure range for that race, Emily.
Exactly. That's why it's like they're gonna run a special weight race this Saturday. I've never seen this before, but it's a maiden special weight race. It's basically like a starter allowance condition where it's a maiden special weight race, but in order to run in it, you've had to have run your horse for a $30,000 maiden claiming tag or less in one of the 2 most recent starts.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So just, you know, you got to keep that in mind, like class wise.
Yeah,
That's why it's good to have that
yeah.
Optix figure range in there, because
You got the Optix figure range. Let's look at what the brisk, because got the brisk, and look at the class rating of 109. So I mean, that's a way to take a look at that, right? Compared to the 111.7 in the first time this was ran at point, right?
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Good. Very good point. Too slow, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would say this horse would be like a pace player if she drew in, would change the whole race complexion. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because my point was that she's not this. She should be up here. You know, like,
okay. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just like who she was running against. Like most of these other. Okay, the debut.
Well, the plot is only plotting her 2-year-old form, which is mostly on the grass.
Yeah.
So it's not. Yeah, she should really be a diamond in the corner, like, or a triangle in the corner. Yeah, but she should be that, like, on both.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just completely.
It's just we would have to write rules until the cows go home. Maybe AI will do that for us at some point, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that's, and she needs shorter anyway. But in fairness, she's run well in both those races. But I think those two races, especially back to back, had to take something out of her. So look for them to regroup with her and maybe try her shorter. A little bit shorter. Still 2 turns though, I think, but shorter. And look for in the future, because she ran pretty good. She ran pretty well, and especially if the Japanese horse comes back and runs well out of this race, upgrade her next time she runs, because this race she ran right with her, right all the way. Okay, so I think we said negative favorite. There's a lot of horses that might not get in. Watch to see what the plot does, in terms of changes. But we talked about the 10, 13, 14 being okay, and the 16, right? We said, I forget now. Yeah. Okay. All right.
A couple questions here. So Sheldon says, "What speed figure do you need to win this?" And goes ... 95 ? I think that's about right.
Yeah. So we got 90. It's 90 to 96. So when you're looking at this, what you want to take into consideration, especially for good fields, the high end. So 96, 95, 96. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah. And then Todd Burns goes, "Emily, who do you like in the Derby and the Oaks?" I'll do you one better. I'll tell you who I don't like. Wet Paint in the Oaks, and I'm against Forte as the winner in the Kentucky Derby. That's better than who I like.
That's good information. Could do a lot with that. Yeah, I mean, like to the point though, it's too early. I mean, we need to see two big things. One is the plots that updated. 2 is the odds.
And the draw.
And then we want to see them. We want to see who's flipping out of the track in front of 100,000 people, 150,000 people, who's not.
Where the horses are drawn and what the odds are. I mean, that's why we're doing this 2 weeks out, because we have, we're giving you the best information on what we have. But the closer you get to the race, I mean, we saw last year, this is pretty much universal across the board. Rich Strike wasn't even mentioned because he was a longer shot to draw in than he was to win. And so, ask me who we like, but at the same time, we made a case for Ethereal Road, who was the same plot position as Rich Strike and was the horse that defected in order for Rich Strike to win. So it's like, I'm not going to say, we would have had him.
We were on Modonegal too.
Well, Modonegal with a better trip wins that race for sure.
Yeah.
And then he came back and won the Belmont. So there's that. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, to say who we like now. I mean, you need that. That's why most of the money comes in at the last minute. It's because when you have the most amount of information, that's who you like. Who you like is many, many, many factors, and many we do not have at this moment.
And it was like the example I brought in the beginning of this with the Keeneland race, right? If you just made that bet who you like early, you would never be on that horse. But once you saw the way they're playing the first time starter, who the connections were, like
saw the horse on the track.
Saw the horse on the track. It was like, okay, this is worth the risk,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and the best part about it is because of the money came from outside, it came from inside, the horse, and all the computer bettors, then let it floated at the end. So you got a float too at the end. So like everyone that says, oh, the odds changed when the horse was running, well, I helped you that time. So it's all situational, as we always say. That's why we're trying to provide some foresight, not insight. We're going to try to say, well, if you go into both these races and think the favorite's vulnerable, you have opportunity, and that's what we're saying. And the strategy is that you gotta look at who comes out of this race, because it makes a big difference in terms of pace dynamics and all the rest. So pay attention. We will have the plot up as soon as those scratches happen, and then again we're going to be selling the package, and we'll have we're going to do our fair value odds in focus and all the rest. So a lot of great information you'll have to help you make your decisions. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
That's it with all the questions.
All right, very good. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and good luck in the Derby. Hopefully we provided some information, and look at us at optixeq.com and check us out on YouTube and our channel. We're constantly going to keep updating stuff. I'm going to try to put some more kind of educational videos, like how to use the products over the next month. Once we're out of the Kentucky Derby season, we have some new things we're working through. See how that goes. So yeah, we're always updating. And since we started, we haven't changed our price, but we've added a lot more content and a lot more tools. So I think that's been our strategy.
Tracks, a lot more everything.
So that's where the value is. At least our value proposition to our customers. So anyway, that's it. Thank you, Emily. Thank you for your time. Great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
The queen of handicapping.
Well, I don't know. Let's not get carried away.
In my opinion, that's
no hierarchies in this house.
I'm biased. What can I tell you? All right, everyone. Take care.
All right. Bye.